All right, today is a big day, December 10th, 2014, sees the release of Gospel Feel by yours truly. Actually by the Willie Wisely Trio, but more on that later. This was an album that was recorded in 1993, and this material was all largely abandoned. Some of it to be re-recorded. Eventually, the songs would make their way onto our 1994 record, Parlez-Vous Français. But we hit the studio, the Terrarium, in Minneapolis, just off North Washington there, in 1993, I think the fall, and we recorded these road-burnished numbers, and, you know, there was some turmoil in the band. People were kind of dragged out from too much touring, and we weren't sure which direction we wanted to take it. Anyway, we laid down these energetic little nuggets and immediately proceeded to not think much of them. I don't know. We were going for something else for our next record. So the master tapes went missing, and we never mixed them and never released them, and I heard them a few years ago and kind of freaked out. I thought, these aren't bad. In fact, these just smell of youth. That's certain the thing I hate about being old. No, the one thing I miss about being young, and it might be the only thing, is... well, I can think of a couple more reasons to still be young. But the only thing that really bums me out about being young is that you're full of this delusion that every idea you have is worth talking about, that every piece of music you dream up is worth recording, every song idea that you have is worth finishing. And when that's the case, you get this very strange music. In fact, I still, there's no group I can name. I invite comparisons to the Willie Wisely Trio, and to this day, 21 years after the recording of these Gospel Feel sessions, I still can barely name a band that's anything like us. NRBQ would come the closest, because they had the influence of all the American black music thread, but did it in this kind of wiggy, no rules kind of art rock way, and jazz without being jazzy, punk without being punky, and that was us, and we were out of our blue marbles and we recorded all these songs. So anyway, we abandoned the recordings, and now they're seeing the light of day for the very first time, and this stuff is streaming on Spotify. You can catch it at iTunes and Amazon and all that, but where I really want to send you is Bandcamp, because not only can you stream it at Bandcamp, but you can also get the high resolution formats for as much as you pay for the MP3s. All the same, you can get all the AACs and the FLAC formats, and so you can get it in groovy high definition. All the mixes are by yours truly. I went and remixed the whole thing myself. Remixed. It was never mixed at all. I mixed it for the first time 21 years later. So I told my drummer, dear pal Peter Anderson, today, who texted me upon hearing this stuff for the first time. I told him about my feeling that delusion is spent on the young, and he's like, hey, it's not delusion if you believe it. I thought that was pretty profound. So an interesting story about the song Lakehead on this album. Lakehead was written by my dear pal, but also the bass player in my very, 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 very first band in 1982 in high school, Paul Grubb. He and I wrote it. We wrote it out of respect to the Roaches, a group you may remember, a song, the Hammond song that we held dear to our hearts. It's really one of their coolest. And I do believe it's on their first album, produced by Adrian Belew. Well, you may recall the Roaches. I doubt you recall the Roaches played Saturday Night Live in 1979, and that's how this 14-year-old heard about them. And they were just wild and from another world, from Mars. They were at once this sort of downtown hipster New York folky thing, singing close harmonies, but not quite perfectly pitched, just with their own weird vibe. And then they were just kind of rural and naive and evanescent too. So they were from Mars, and their albums were really cool. Their first one is produced by Adrian Belew, which is fantastic. I love Adrian. Anyway, I don't know him. I just love him. Okay. very important to discern. Anyway, so we stole the Hammond song. We stole the melody and the chords to write Lakehead. I find out about this, I think it was Mary Lucia, the eminent DJ in Minneapolis, an old friend of mine. She loved Lakehead. I remember playing it on her show, and she had a great reaction to it. She may have even pointed out that it was the Roaches song, borrowed, changed, and mixed up. And so here we are. A few months ago, I contact Margaret Roach. I just went to the website, found the publishing company, called the publishing emailed the publishing company. Damn, it's Margaret Roach. Well, she granted us graciously I mean, she could have said, "Hey, that song's mine. You give it to me." You know, we added a lot of material. The lyrics are different, and you know, we stole moderate amount of stuff. But she granted us a 1/3 each songwriting credit, which is very magnanimous. So kudos to her, and you should look up all those old Roaches records because they really are a trip. And they did a holiday record, which would be very apt for this season right now. Look them up. And I know that Saturday Night Live episode is on YouTube as well. They sang Hallelujah. I think that was their really kind of breakthrough moment. Regardless, gospel feel. You can, you know, we were a pretty wiggy affair. In fact, this I found this old piece of press. I kind of wanted to read to you. It's from 1993, the year we recorded this stuff. We were touring. I think we toured like 150 dates that year, all booked by yours truly. We drove there in our own van, with the floor falling out of it because of rust and snow and ice and all this crap on the roads in Minnesota. We were DIY, baby. Jazz Cats. Can you see any of that? Kind of, we're wearing suits, upright bass. There you go. The trombonist isn't in that photo. Well, anyway, this comes from Winnipeg. We were opening for Boiled and Lead. My good friend Drew Miller, who I haven't seen in way too long. We opened up for them. Minneapolis native Willie Wisely and his trio were the next band to grace the stage of the increasingly crowded club, looking exceptionally dapper as usual. I'll take that. And Willie more than lived up to his reputation as the sexiest man in the Western world. I'll take that. But did we really have to qualify it with Western? I mean, come on. I've been to Japan. So, anyway, but if it were up to me, he would have that reputation. If it were up to me and Dick Manley, he would have that reputation. Was Dick Manley the Prime Minister of Canada? Anyway, evincing orgasm with every note and gyration. All this despite the fact that Willie's mum was in the audience. Mum. Mrs. Wisely appeared to enjoy herself as much as the rest of the crowd. However, and he goes on to talk about I Cannot Love You Enough, a song we played that night, which is on Gospel Feel. 6 Buckets of Kerosene, Lady Beware, the staples of our crazy, crazy sets. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all about I have to say. Go to the website. You can stream the album at YouTube also, and follow the social media business. All the links are at wiselymusic.com. And you can go there. You know what's also there under the albums link? I wrote like big essays, big historical documents of all my major studio records, and some of the minor ones too, that you can read, and kind of the backstory, the dramatic backstory to each record. So go there, dig in, and you know what? Expect more unearthed material, like within a week or two. There's going to be a lot of stuff pouring forth here. As I'm working on a new record, I'm letting out a whole bunch of bonus tracks, reissues, remastered stuff, so there will be weekly releases for weekly, maybe bi-weekly, semi-weekly, for probably months while I prepare a new album. Nonetheless, yeah, go to the website and read those essays. I wrote them especially so that my kids could see how I wasted my youth.